Hi everybody, welcome to my homestead and welcome to my channel. My name is Jared. In this video, well, this picture here is Montpelier, Vermont. If you don't know, that's the state capital. And it is flooded. And a lot of the state of Vermont is flooded. And it's not over. I thought by this point it would be over. It wasn't really too much on my radar, no pun intended. But I decided to look at it because a lot of people had been talking about this, and it turns out that it doesn't look like this event is over. In fact, right now there is a tornado warning at the time that I'm recording this. So this is Thursday night, and at the time that I'm recording this, this tornado warning is still in effect for another 17 minutes. Interesting number, and it says tornado radar indicated. And I've seen it before where it says like tornado, like eyewitness or something like that. Somebody actually observed it. But this one, it says tornado radar indicated. So I guess we'll see what happens with that. But it's making its way. You know, this whole thing, the track right here is making its way. Actually, if we take the radar off and zoom in a little bit more, you'll see that Montpelier is right here. It's probably unlikely that if there is a tornado, it would go all the way up there, but I don't know. I guess we'll have to wait and see. So this is kind of crazy. I want to talk about this. I want to talk about another thing. This is a video that I did a long time ago, or it felt like a long time ago, 4 months ago, about this Cyclone Freddy. And at the time, they were thinking that it was the longest lasting cyclone slash hurricane slash typhoon on record. And it turns out that it was more than just that. So I'm going to save that for the last part of the video. And then we're going to do a catch up on what happened in Chicago yesterday. All right, so Vermont. Now this is just interesting. It's not funny, but it's like okay, this is on Vox, okay? Oh, sorry. Before I do that, here's the update on the Book of Mormon sharing challenge. 6,115 copies of the Book of Mormon shared so far, with 616 people that have joined the challenge. Please consider joining it. Leave it in the comments or send me an email once you share a Book of Mormon. Include hashtag flood. And I want to remind everybody, I haven't mentioned this in a long time, but the channel goal is at least 10. Try to get to at least 10 copies of the Book of Mormon that you've shared. Okay, so back to this Vox article that's titled, and this is very fitting for a channel like this where we watch for signs of the times and we know what's going to happen. We know that Christ is going to be coming soon. The title is, There's No Such Thing as a Disaster-Resistant Place Anymore. Right? Now, technically, that's probably never been the case. There's probably never been a time anywhere that was disaster-resistant, but they're calling attention to the fact that things are changing. In places that have been historically considered safe, well, things are changing. Here you go. Flooding in downtown Montpelier, Vermont. Just a reminder, if you don't know, Vermont, that's the birthplace of Joseph Smith. I have it here on the map. You see that? Montpelier is up here. I don't know how far away it is. I don't know if that's significant or not, but I just wanted to point that out. Joseph Smith's birthplace is in Vermont. So maybe keep that in mind as we continue. An estimated 11 million people across the northeastern U.S. are under flood risks or warnings this week after historic levels of rainfall. 1 in 1,000 year events. Man, how many more of these 1 in 1,000 years, 1 in 1,200 years, 1 in whatever, how many more are we going to have? And are they really 1 in 1,000 years? Well, maybe they are, but it seems like a lot of them are happening right now. For example, the mega drought in the Southwest. It's been a while since I've taken a look at that, but I think it was like a 1 in 1,200 years event is the way that they described it. So, swept through New England with rivers in Vermont and New York's Hudson Valley overflowing and turning town streets into waterways, as you can see right here with a guy that looks like he's fishing right there. The Winooski River, which runs through Vermont's capital, Montpelier, rose above its normal level of below 11 feet to a height of about 20 feet. This is the second highest height on record for the river, only falling behind Vermont's greatest natural disaster, quote unquote, 1927 flood that killed 84 people. Vermont and New York last experienced such dire circumstances in 2011 and 2012, respectively, when Hurricane Irene and then Hurricane Sandy charged across the country, bringing catastrophic flooding. And I actually remember that. Do you remember that? I remember that. I was in Arizona at the time. Vermont, okay, now look at this. Vermont was once considered one of the most natural disaster resistant states in the country. And a local Vermont news station reported people were moving to the state for the purpose of avoiding worsening wildfires, droughts, and floods elsewhere in the U.S. Well, not to be insensitive, but surprise, there's nowhere that you can go. You know, some of these people, I'm sure they don't have the second coming on the mind. They should. Everybody in the world should be aware and know what's happening. But we know that there's nowhere to hide. There's nowhere that you can go. Undoubtedly, a lot of these people are probably good. There's no way to know who's telestial, terrestrial, celestial. You know, so we obviously give them our sympathies as they're with anyone that's dealing with this. But all of it, regardless of whether you're telestial, terrestrial, or celestial, all of us are dealing with the judgments of God that are coming upon the earth before the second coming, and there's nowhere to hide. There's nowhere to hide. You can't avoid it. Quote, Vermont is one of the few places in the world that is likely to get more habitable. Chris Kolaba, a professor of community development and applied economics at the University of Vermont, told Boston's NPR news station, WBUR, in 2021. So that's kind of funny, don't you think? And in no disrespect to Chris Kolaba, I don't know who you are. But you have, academics, scholars, professionals, that know so much, right? But they don't know more than God. So 2 years ago, this is the thinking. Vermont is one of the few places in the world that is likely to get more habitable. I don't know, maybe that's still true, but as of right now today, and for like the last week, it's not looking so good. It's kind of looking like this right now. People are still going to survive this, but damage is going to be done to structures and property. Climate change isn't just making natural disasters worse, it's making them occur more frequently in places they rarely did before. For example, wildfire smoke engulfed the East Coast and many parts of the Midwest earlier this summer, and I covered that. First, I did a video about the smoke in New York City, Washington, D.C., Philadelphia, and then later in Chicago, all the way down to St. Louis, and then other major cities, Detroit, the Twin Cities, Minneapolis, and St. Paul in Minnesota. Okay, and then Winter Storm Uri left 4.5 million Texans without power and killed 246 people in 2021. And by the way, that same storm came through Kansas and it killed one of my calves. Thank you very much. I was kind of upset that happened. Actually, really upset because we had just got them like a few days before. Here's more of downtown Montpelier, Vermont. People are kayaking. This looks similar to Salt Lake when it flooded in 1983. People were doing the same thing, fishing, kayaking down the streets. Okay, that's all that I have for this one. Let's take a look before I continue on to the next article about Vermont. Let's do a quick check on this. Let's see if anything's changed. This is tornadohq.com, by the way. I've been here many times, not just for the channel, but for tornadoes in my area, as there's been tornado warnings here in south central Kansas. Let me just go to the actual warning. That's for, okay, so there's one in Minnesota right now, but I'm looking for the one for New York and Vermont. Doesn't look like anything's really changed. It still says radar indicated. So, but anyway, I mean, you can see, I mean, look at this thunderstorm right here sweeping through the state. Let me zoom out a little bit more. Here's New York, and if you're not familiar with U.S. geography, you have these two little states right here, New Hampshire, and then Vermont looks like New Hampshire, but upside down into the west. And this storm is basically going to go over, it looks like, the entire state. Let's see. Now, it's interesting, that you have this tornado warning. I wanted to know, like, how often do tornadoes happen in Vermont? So I looked that up. Vermont tornado averages, and as you can see here, 0.00000 for every month of the year. This is groundzeroshelters.com, so it's a company's website. But they say the chances of a tornado hitting Vermont is almost nil. As a matter of fact, Vermont does not even have a month that sees more tornadoes than others. But remember, tornadoes can strike at any time, at any place. That's true, even downtown Salt Lake City in 1999. There have been tornadoes in Vermont before, and they will happen again. So there's not much to speak of. There is this article here, the North Star Monthly, an article called A Whirlwind of Curiosity, Tornadoes in Vermont. And I just have a few things highlighted here. So it says, by comparison, Vermont averages less than one tornado per year. Okay, less than one tornado per year. So very, very not likely. And neighboring New Hampshire sees between 1 to 2 per year. Later, locally stronger tornadoes are rare, with only 14 recorded in Vermont since statistical records began in 1950 and 28 in New Hampshire. Rare, but they do happen. All right, so if one does happen, it's going to be on the more rare side, but not unheard of. And the average, according to what we just read, is less than one a year. And all that I know right now is that there's one indicated on the radar. But I don't know if by the end of this video, if there's going to be more details. But anyway, now let's go on to the CNN article. This one's called Still Reeling from Catastrophic Flooding That Left at Least One Dead. Vermont braces for another round of rain. And that's what's going on right now as we speak. Here's a picture of Barre, Vermont. Okay, dangerous weather could bring more flash floods to Vermont, just as the state begins its long recovery from devastating rainfall that deluged the region earlier this week. Severe thunderstorms, flash floods, hail, and even tornadoes could hit Vermont Thursday, that's right now, the National Weather Service warned. Southern Vermont is facing a moderate risk of excessive rainfall, and thunderstorms expected Thursday afternoon will last through the night, the Weather Service said. Much of the already waterlogged state is under a new flood watch. And I actually have that pulled up, but okay, where is it? Right here. NOAA's website that looks like it's from 1996. Literally probably hasn't been updated since then. This lime green color is the color for a flood watch, but I'm not seeing any of that in Vermont as of right now. There's pink, there's orange. The orange, I believe, is thunderstorm. Yeah, severe thunderstorm warning. Pink is severe thunderstorm watch. So again, warning means that it's like imminent, it's happening, and then the pink means that it's like coming, keep a watch out for it, right? And then you have the red right here. So as of right now, they have the tornado warning for this small western part of Vermont. So that's going on right now. Okay. Most of the dangerous weather is expected between 4 p.m. and 8 p.m. Thursday. I'm assuming that's local time. Right now it's 6:43 p.m. Eastern time as I'm making this, so we're like right in the middle of it, when the likelihood of localized flash flooding is high. This is from Governor Phil Scott. Quote, "This is not expected to be a repeat of Monday and Tuesday, but it will be dangerous in the areas that experience flash flooding. This isn't over, and it won't be over after this storm." And then here's a shot of Montpelier, streets flooded. And I think that's all I have for that. Let's go to Zoom Earth. This is another good one. And zoom in. And yeah, it seems like the bulk of the storm is now over Vermont. And Montpelier, here it is. So Montpelier is just about to get hit as we speak. Okay. So that's it for what's going on in Vermont. We'll have to wait and see like what the damage is, but it seems like this is an event more on the rare side. Otherwise, Vox wouldn't have made that video. So I'm probably going to go ahead and put this on my timeline, on the Second Coming timeline. Now let's take a look and see what happened in Chicago. There's not a lot of information right now, but there is this from Fox 32 Chicago. Chicago's southwest suburbs see massive damage after tornado rips through the area. And that's pretty much all that I know, is that they're saying that there's massive damage. Okay. If you go to 23 WIFR, it has like a little breakdown kind of, and it shows you the tornadoes that they know of. You can see the tornado tracks right here. Let me see if I can put this in a new window. So like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 tornadoes. But it says here, we currently do not have an estimate on the total number of tornadoes. We will determine the official count along intensity ratings following damage surveys over the coming days. So it's probably still a little bit too premature to say, or to like tell the full impact of what happened yesterday in Chicago. But we'll get back to that some other time. Okay, now let's get to Cyclone Freddy. Let me zoom in. All right, so Cyclone Freddy. I did a video about this, like I said, and you can see here, I have this pulled up. This is my old video. It shows you on Zoom Earth the track that it took across the Pacific, essentially off the coast of Australia, all the way across the Indian Ocean, across Madagascar, and then making landfall in Mozambique. And there was like a couple times it made landfall. It was very odd, but this is the event that we're talking about. If you want to know some more of the details, you'll have to go to this video, but I'll put it in the link for it in the description below. So I was reminded about this by Melissa Foster. She sent an email saying, Malawi, Africa, longest cyclone, add it to the signs list. Wink. So yeah, I remembered that. I had already done a video about it, and it was time to go ahead and check back and see what happened. And this is what they're saying. So first, we have this article from Yale Climate Connections. 5 of Africa's top 30 deadliest weather disasters have occurred since 2022. 5 of Africa's top 30 deadliest weather disasters have occurred since 2022. That's a hastening. That is things getting more intense. This article was written just a couple months ago, May 5th, 2023. Okay, so over the past year, Africa has experienced 5 of its top 30 deadliest weather disasters since record keeping began in the year 1900, according to statistics from EMDAT, the International Disaster Database. That includes deaths from Cyclone Freddy, and that's the one that we're talking about right now, which made landfall in Mozambique on March 11th, 2023, as a Category 2 storm with 110-mile-per-hour winds, causing flooding, now blamed for 1,434 deaths. Many of the, and then here we go, the obligatory, many of the recent disasters affecting the vast continent can be blamed on human-caused climate change, research found. Oh, make sure to say that right away. Cyclone Freddy was the deadliest tropical cyclone on record for Africa. So this is something that I did not know until now. This is something that I did not know until I did. Well, I didn't know it in the last video. Now I do in this video. So that is new. Deadliest tropical cyclone on record for Africa, surpassing Cyclone Idai of 2019. Freddy left 679 dead and 537 people missing and presumed dead in Malawi, with additional fatalities in Madagascar, 17, Mozambique, 198, Zimbabwe 2, and I don't know how to pronounce this country. I never have. Mauritius. I don't know. Freddy is now the second deadliest tropical cyclone in the entire southern hemisphere, behind an unnamed 1973 cyclone in Indonesia, which killed 1,650. All right, so second deadliest in the entire southern hemisphere. That is also new. In addition to Freddy in 2023, recent deadly disasters include 4 from 2022, drought in Uganda with 2,465 deaths, flooding in West Africa, 876 deaths, 603 of them in Nigeria, where the church is really strong. Okay, I don't know why I'm, okay, highlight that, okay. Flooding in South Africa, 544 deaths, plus one disaster, EMDAT, or MDAT, I'll call it MDAT, does not list, drought in Somalia, which led to 43,000 excess deaths, according to a February 2023 study by the London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine. What? The London School of Hygiene in Tropical Medicine? Okay. The study warned that the rate of fatalities could rise and predicted an additional 18,100 to 34,200 drought deaths in Somalia during the first half of 2023. These are signs of the times. If you saw my video that I did a couple videos back called Fast, I feel like this is, metaphorically speaking, the main smoke before the big explosion of the Beirut, Lebanon port explosion that occurred in 2020. It started as a fire with just kind of like regular smoke, and then there was a big explosion in like a fireworks storage area, and that got all crazy, and then there was a lot more smoke coming from that, and I feel like metaphorically we're in that stage where 2020 would have been the beginning of that big explosion, and now we're just waiting for the big one, the second coming. And all this stuff happened obviously after 2020. It's insane. It's simply insane. But anyway, back to Freddy. Okay, so let's just recap what we have so far, and this isn't it. The deadliest tropical cyclone on record for Africa. The second deadliest in the entire southern hemisphere. All right, but there's more. Okay, this is the most recent article I could find. That's why, it's like just a random source like Santa Barbara Independent, but I wanted to get the most recent information that I could. And they have this: ShelterBox sending aid to Malawi, Africa in wake of tropical cyclone Freddy. And what they say is this: Cyclone Freddy traveled for 5 weeks across the Indian Ocean in February and March, earning its title as the longest lasting and most powerful tropical cyclone ever recorded worldwide. Do you understand what that's saying? You do know, you may or may not know, this is from National Ocean Service. What is the difference between a hurricane and a typhoon? Hurricanes and typhoons are the same weather phenomenon, tropical cyclones. So they're all the same thing. Hurricane, cyclone, typhoon, it's all the same thing. A tropical cyclone is a generic term used by meteorologists to describe a rotating, organized system of clouds and thunderstorms that originates over tropical or subtropical waters and has closed, low-level circulation. Okay, it's a hurricane. For those in the United States, we're more familiar with hurricane because that's what we call it here. Okay, so the longest lasting and most powerful hurricane ever recorded worldwide. And then Carrie Murray, president of ShelterBox USA, says, quote, Tropical Cyclone Freddy is a historic storm that deserves the world's attention. Yes, yes it does. But not very many people are paying attention, except for maybe Mozambique and those countries affected, right? The rest of us are sitting up here in our ivory towers, nice houses, our whatever. I don't know. I know some of you have experienced disaster, but we're up here all safe. And we see these things happening in the news, but it's easy just to overlook this and be like, whatever. Isn't there always disasters going on in these places? No, not like this. No, there's not. This is incredible. The strongest hurricane ever recorded worldwide. It happened this year. This year, 2023. It's a sign of the times. Kim Murray continues, as climate change continues, we're seeing the severity of storms increase, and they are causing unprecedented damage. In Malawi, there's been significant loss of life, property, and critical infrastructure. This is hopefully going to be a wake-up call for any in that part of the world, and hopefully other parts of the world, including everybody here listening. Hopefully it's a wake-up call as to where we're at. Things are getting really bad, really severe. That doesn't mean to be scared. Have hope, live righteously. The righteous will, in large part, be protected. Okay, live inside your covenants, but it's getting just the warnings are getting louder and louder and louder. And I'm doing what I can to help carry that call to whoever needs to listen to it. Okay, this is from disasterphilanthropy.org. There's a couple things here I just wanted to double check. Record-breaking tropical cyclone Freddy formed on February 3rd, 2023, northwest of Australia, before traveling across the entire Indian Ocean to become the first Category 5 storm of this Southwest Indian Ocean cyclone season. According to the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, no tropical cyclones have taken such a path across the Indian Ocean in the past 2 decades. On March 7th, Freddy became the longest-lived tropical cyclone ever recorded and is now officially Earth's most energetic storm ever observed. That's another way of saying most powerful storm. Longest-lived and most powerful. That is just insane. So, obviously, that for sure, yeah, Melissa's right. That for sure should go on the Second Coming timeline, where we're trying our best to keep track of the signs of the times, all the significant events that are occurring, when they're occurring. And what's crazy about this is that it started February 5th, which was just one day before that massive earthquake in Turkey and Syria that killed 59,000 people, over 59,000 people. The same earthquake that cleaved a Mount of Olives into two. And it came just a couple days after, you had the East Palestine, that's how they pronounce it over there, East Palestine, Ohio train derailment. And I don't know, I already did the video covering everything that's happened this first 6 months of the year. But yeah, so I have it here, and in column E, I decided to track it over here, so you can kind of see the length of it. And it goes all the way up here to the 14th of March. And there's all these different things that happen in between. The Turkey earthquake, the Mount of Olives in Turkey cleaved in twain, the temple changes on February 7th, the bolt of lightning that struck the Christ Redeemer statue in Rio de Janeiro. It always happens, I know, but the picture that was taken and all the eyeballs that saw it, it seems to me like it's a sign, because it's a pretty dramatic picture. The 3 objects shot down over Alaska, Yukon, and Michigan. Bright meteor over France, southern England, and Belgium during the Super Bowl. And then 2 days after that, the meteor that exploded over Texas, exactly 10 years after the Chelyabinsk Russian meteor, which was that really dramatic meteor that had the explosive yield of a nuclear bomb, by the way. Jimmy Carter entered hospice care. Comet announced, double conjunction. Yeah, those are all the things that happened while this cyclone, typhoon, hurricane was going on. And all the while you have the Ukraine war. Technically, the pandemic is still going on. The Syrian civil war. So just another really crazy thing to add to this year. There's been a lot of crazy things this year. And it's only a little over halfway through. We still have pretty much a whole half of year left ahead of us. What the heck else is going to happen between now and New Year's? I don't know. I don't know. Let's see. Let me make sure I covered everything. Oh yeah. So right now, this spreadsheet that I have created, this is just for Atlantic hurricanes. At some point, I might actually go ahead and do like a master hurricane, typhoon, cyclone spreadsheet to try and track them all, which I'm not actually sure if that's even going to be possible for me. I'll have to look into it, but I have this for right now. Just as a reminder, it seems to me that the worst couple years in recent memory for Atlantic hurricanes was 2005, which had a total of 15 hurricanes. And then, of course, the year 2020 with 14. Both of those years had the same number of major hurricanes, which would be a Category 3 or more. So they both had 7 in those 2 years, which that's an interesting number. This year so far, all we have is 3 tropical storms. In fact, on Zoom Earth, you can see one of them right here. Right now it's called 94L. So it doesn't have a name yet, and it's just a low pressure area. And they have it forecasted as of right now to become a tropical disturbance. But otherwise, not a whole lot going on. There is one over here. This is kind of interesting. So this is Hurricane Calvin. Right now, it's a Category 1 hurricane. It's going to strengthen to a Category 2. Weaken back down to Category 1 if these models, this forecast model holds. And then down to a tropical storm, but it is like direct. It is going right at Hawaii. So if you're in Hawaii, please stay safe. But yeah, not a whole lot going on. Um, on the Wikipedia page, according to this, it says that the 2023 Atlantic hurricane season officially began on June 1st and will end on November 30th. We read in a recent video that they're predicting like a higher than usual hurricane season, like more hurricanes than usual. But we'll have to see what actually happens. I can't remember the numbers for the life of me, what they were saying, but it doesn't seem like it's going to be anything like 2020 based on their predictions. I want to say that total they were predicting 9. So that is a little bit on the heavier side if you look back at all these other years. So, all right, so there's that. I think that's pretty much it. Let's just check back in really quick. Let's see what's going on in Vermont. It looks like that tornado warning has expired, but there is one down here. Tornado radar indicated. Where is that? I can't tell. It looks like it's, well, let's just see down here. Colorado, New York. That's in New York. Let's look at the full thing. Radar indicated. Take cover now. It's a small area, but if you're in this area, please do take cover. Hopefully you've gotten the notification on your phone where you're watching the news. So right here. But let's take the radar off. Zoom out a little bit. Yeah, right now, as I'm making this, those storms are like squarely on over Vermont. I keep wanting to say New Hampshire because that's where we started our honeymoon. We we were in Lincoln, New Hampshire, and then we went down to Cape Cod, and then from there we, checked out. Like we went to go check out Boston and New York City and stuff like that. But basically, well, it's a long story short, but it ended up being mostly Cape Cod is where we spent our honeymoon. It was really fun. But all right, well, yeah, that's gonna be it for this one. So if you haven't already, please make sure to subscribe, like this video if you liked it, leave your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. Also make sure to share it, and I'll talk to you guys later.